Hi, my name is Nikki Seward, and this is a very quick update of what I call the CALFED name game. These plans for revising the delta to export water from the Sacramento River into the San Joaquin River for export to other areas of the state. It is not a new plan. I am going to go over this very quickly, the summary, and then go through actually just the last 10 or 12 year history. But to start out with, I want you to focus on this. This is from like 1945, and this is the water plan for the state for the Central Valley Basin Plan. And you will see this is just one section of a really large map. You can see the whole map at deltarevision.com. Go to the maps from that time period for 1945, and you will see the huge map. But I wanted to focus on just this area right here. This shows the delta. This is the delta area. Here's the Sacramento River here. But what this map emphasized was dredging and diverting Sacramento River water down the McCollum River into the Old River San Joaquin area to get the flows going for export to other areas. So I'm going to just start going down the map. So after that map, we see planning for building those facilities, and this is a 1960 bulletin. It was a really nice document you can look at from the 1960s, and it talks about how California is going to take simply surplus water from north of the delta and send it to places south of the delta or possibly west of the delta. But at this time it was the water was going to go down, and it emphasized surplus water. And by 1965 there was also a plan. They had actually a bunch of plans. You can look at all those plans for investing in and reoperating the water of California. But another one of the plans was this peripheral canal that we heard about in 1965. So that was where the first peripheral canal was proposed. And there was, in that proposal period, there was also this central conveyance plan that had some siphons. You can see the little siphon here. Here's one siphon and control fishway structure and all that stuff. Note where this one is. This is Empire Tract. That's kind of an important one to note. And note these other siphons. They match the area of those gates that we've heard about sometimes in the Delta Water Storage Program or plan. So by 1982, this is a graph from a PPIC report, and they talk about how many people said no to a peripheral canal. That was Proposition 9, and it was a very clear and resounding no. We don't want to destroy the delta. We don't want to pay for that kind of a conveyance. That's not a good plan. No. So no doesn't mean no to the people who want the water. And despite that big resounding no from the voters of California, some planning continues. Here's one of the proposals. They start changing the names, but it's still the exact same plan, just in pieces. And here's a proposal to widen the McCollum waterway along here, and they said that was for recreation. However, what that actually did was allow more water to flow down this area to go into the San Joaquin. So this is shifting water from the Sacramento watershed to the San Joaquin watershed. So then they say it's an export out of San Joaquin watershed when it's really a Sacramento watershed export. Note here too that a Ileton cross channel was proposed. That's a little bit similar to what Dr. Pike is talking about. He talks about a siphon a little further down the Sacramento River, and but they had talked about at this time in the 1988 a siphon or just a cross channel, and the way the water would flow, it would go down this cross channel. That plan was not moved forward, but there was CALFED by 1992. They're funded and they're looking at different ways to do some restoration. And in the midst of all of that, by 1998, the David and Lucille Packard Foundation funds a big study by the Natural Heritage Institute. And this study is very instrumental in assuming it's instrumental in getting the CALFED record of decision, because just 2 years later there's this huge record of decision that I don't know how many Delta people actually were aware of, or I certainly wasn't at that time. But when you look at this National Heritage Institute map, it just pretty much is exactly what we're being told today for the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. So I'm going to keep moving forward. So by the year 2000, we have a record of decision, the CALFED a record of decision, and they have the preferred program alternative, and that is to do conveyance waterway down the central of the delta. Okay, so let's go right back to that first page. This 1945 plan is what they're talking about doing in the CALFED record of decision, only they add some restoration projects and some other modifications to how the state and federal projects are operated together, and they kind of combine operations and do other reoperation and make plans for north of the delta and also make plans for in-delta storage. So this is an important map, and we're going to keep going back to this one so you can compare to this is the 2000 record of decision. And the projects got broken up into building blocks or different areas. The conveyance portion of the CALFED record decision was called Delta Improvements Package. They called it the Big Dip, DIP. And then the Big Dip got split into NDIP and SDIP for North Delta Improvement Package, and same thing for the South Delta. Okay, so that got split up, and both of these were conveyance projects. They were not restoration projects when first conceived. Restoration language was added later. So I'm going to show you some of the other projects. Here's the South Delta Improvement Program. We know that so much of this has already been done. They're not just talking about it as if it isn't done. The Bay Delta Conservation Plan is a conservation plan, but it refers to all of these projects that are already done, so the impacts are already being felt. Here's another one. This is called Through Delta. They also called it the Armored Aqueduct under the Dreams Report. And we see this same line of waterway going through in the next couple of documents. And if you go see what was dredged, go look at the records of what was dredged over the last couple of years, you'll see that pattern. Okay, so here we are again. This is again the CALFED record of decision, and this details all these conveyance projects, which includes modifications to the levees around Staten Island. And we know a lot of that's been done. We also know the state bought Staten Island for $35 million back in 2003 to use as in-delta storage or for restoration, and showing Delta farmers how to farm differently, their experiment site. So I want to show you some other names. The same project has been called the Through Delta Conveyance Plan. Same thing, going down this way. Delta Corridor Plan, very similar. Affects here, modifies here, uses some gates. And yes, this plan did use some gates. We've also seen it, here's the Delta Improvements Program. We've heard it called the Eco-Friendly Emergency Freshwater Pathway Concept. Same thing. They keep changing the name, but it's the same game. Here is another one. This is much more detailed plans about the gates that they would use. This is from Dreams Phase 2, I believe. And you can see this is that armored aqueduct again, and you see what they propose here. Here's another map. This is, I think it was the string of islands or something name for it, and the people who were promoting or are promoting the National Heritage Area had this on their website for a while. And then here are the temporary barriers project that they talked about. Temporary barriers show along this project map and a couple other ones, and those barriers are a big concern to anyone who gets blocked, their navigation gets blocked. Okay, so a couple years ago there was a tour of the developments, and this was a media tour. And again, this is they call this map the large owner access, and it's promoting recreation going this way and all the water flow to go this way as well. For very logical reasons, they want the water down here. Here again is that Delta Corridors plan, and it's so similar to the CALFED one. It's kind of almost silly to change the name. Here we see again another version of the CALFED plan where it used McCormick-Williamson track and then another part of the McCollum. And we know that that's in the proposal of the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. So this map here, this is UC Berkeley did a summer re-envisioning the Delta program in 2006, and that's one of their landscape maps. Here's another one. This is the proposal to inundate certain islands. This is Staten Island. No, I'm sorry, Tyler Island. Staten's right next door. And part of this island is owned by government or Fish and Game or something, at least on the other maps we see. This is Staten Island. They may have shifted it over to Staten Island. Okay, so now we're looking at one of the Bay Delta Conservation Plans from 2009. And they pretty much have stuck with this now, and you know that this central conveyance portion is being built. While everybody talks about it, that surface conveyance facility is being built. So let's go back to this 1998 Natural Heritage Institute. When this started happening, by 2004, Metropolitan Water District and other Southern California water districts, and I believe Santa Clara too, were funding all this work and plans and studies going on to validate doing what they wanted to do. And this is what they were shooting for and are shooting for. And so then we see that we start seeing these plans from East Bay Mud and Bay Area cities. I'm going to go back to that or find a bigger one of that. Here we go. I wanted to find this one, so I'm going to make it larger. I wanted you to see that this particular map, because right now we know that a lot of these things are already done. They're talked about in Bay Delta Conservation Plan, but they're already built. They're not necessarily turned on, but they're built. So, for example, this Contra Costa Water District Alternative Intake Project, that's on Victoria Canal, and it is already built. You can go down there and see it. It just doesn't appear to be turned on. The expansion of Los Vaqueros Reservoir, that's already in the process. We read last year that they were already filling up for the expansion. So here's another one. There's this Coast Mud Alternative Intake Project. This is a siphon right at the end of this point on Empire Tract. Well, that one is already done too. It was billed as freshwater for the city of Stockton, but it was done with private money according to newspaper articles. So this was from Google Earth. We've actually gone and take pictures, and if you go see the Delta Revision website, you'll see pictures of this project as it was done. I personally went and tried to go see it a couple times, but there's gates and barriers, and unless you are a engineer from DWR or something, you can't get in there. So it's kind of interesting to see that these things are built, a lot of them, but they're talked about in Bay Delta Conservation Plan as if there's something in the future. They're already there. Here's another name for it. It was called Flexible Delta. That was another one of those names that came from the UC Berkeley study on re-envisioning the delta. Here we've got another one. This was Cal Science. They were talking about ways to be environmentally friendly but still get the water going down there, and it looks just like the 1945 plan. By expanding the Delta Cross Channel and operating it differently and adding a through Delta facility here, that Freeport facility could just as easily be that through Delta facility. There could be, with that pipe that went off this way and connected to the East Bay mud pipes, that may have been the way to get around the Delta. On the other hand, you do see the through Delta facility, through Delta transfer facility. So we see, and we keep seeing it over. This is by a little bit north of Randall Island. I think it's called Green's Landing. There's proposal of using Randall Island, and the sloughs already there sure make it look like it'd be an easy shot for them to do that. So that was a 2007 name, through Delta transfer facility. Transfer the water from the Sacramento River into the Mokelumne and San Joaquin River system. That's what that means. So what they started saying is we're going to evolve back to a natural or historical geometric form. Well, if you look at the really old maps, it wasn't this separated out. You can read about steamboats. Yes, the main river was the Sacramento River, and then you had the San Joaquin River, but boats did go up the Mokelumne. They were connected. They could go from Stockton up the Mokelumne and get into the Sacramento River and make it all the way up to Sacramento. So this, to say it's going to be dendritic or split, that's very misleading. And note that this one also calls for gates. The particular plan that was included with this proposal from USGS. Okay, so here's another map. This, I believe, was from Metropolitan Water District proposal or document or something. You can look at it. You can blow this up larger and see where that came from. And again, it's conveyance actions in the actions, not alternatives, actions, things they're doing. And you see it is the stuff going on along here. There's also the North Bay Aqueduct. There's also this project to change the flow in the Yolo bypass and have the water come down here. That leads more water, I guess, to export to this area or wherever it goes with the North Bay Aqueduct. Anyway, so you see that these are actual projects that they're actions that have been done, a lot of them, not just proposal. And then we see then there's another name for it, Old River Corridor scenario. That's very similar to the fish corridor scenario. And blue means water, green means for the fish to get out into the San Francisco Bay, and that means there has to be gates, if you see the gates there. So hopefully that's not going to happen or impact the people that are down there that want to keep their navigation. Just looking, continue look, here's again the CALFED record decision. Look at what they're proposing, and then we see that this is Metropolitan Water District's slide, Echo Crescent Middle River conveyance. Same thing, water from the north taken on south, exported elsewhere. Then we see the dual conveyance central tunnel alignment. Well, actually this is, the conveyance is a surface conveyance, and the tunnel would go underneath the San Joaquin if they actually would build that. So maybe by dual conveyance they mean the central conveyance above ground that they've been building, and then add to that the tunnel program. So let's keep going. Here's the Delta Vision people, and here's what they say. Oh, let's do this project. Look at where they're proposing expanding the water flow. I'm going to zip right past Okay, does that look familiar? So let me see if I can get back down there. So you saw that, right? Same thing. So the Delta Vision people, that Blue Ribbon Task Force, they go right back to the 1945 plan to get the water flowing here to get to the pumps. And here we go again. Here's the making sure that they do appropriate levee work and get the funding through Bay Delta Conservation Plan to do more of this levee work. If you go down by Bacon Island and those areas, you'll see that a lot of this levee work's already done. So now we have the more current views of the Bay Delta Conservation Plan, and if you look at their interactive map, you will see that the central conveyance one that I've been talking about, that's being built, as we all discuss everything else, that alone takes so much water out of the Sacramento River. It has a potential between the intake at Freeport and that Greens Island and reoperation the Delta Cross Channel and the deepening of Georgiana. It's already a lot deeper now, so it takes a lot more water. The levees along the McCollum around Staten Island have already been improved to take in more water. So that alone already is impacting negatively the North Delta. They're already getting that water. So while everybody argues about the Bay Delta Conservation Plan and other tunnels, note that there isn't enough water for 15,000 cubic feet per second or even 9,000 cubic feet per second to be taken from the Sacramento River. Between what's already being built for central canal conveyance and what's being built north of the Delta, there just isn't the water left. So I don't believe they're really going to ever build tunnels because it makes no sense. They're already taking the water in other ways. Thanks for listening, and if you want more details about all those past plans, go to the original CalFed name game. Bye.